Many thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video.
You know, there's a lot of noise out there, people telling you what to do and how to do it or when to do it, and that's not what this video is about, or any video I ever make. Rather, everything I share on this channel has to do with my own experiences as to my successes and most frequently my failures, what works for me and what doesn't, and what I've learned throughout the process. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the one single piece of photography advice that made it all click for me, and it's to photograph it like you've never seen it before. Well, good morning from an incredibly foggy Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. I've come out to this area kind of like a scouting mission a little bit. I'm definitely early. The spring growth is just barely starting. We're at about, not super high, I think like 5,700 feet up in elevation. So definitely a little bit early for spring growth, probably about, I would say a solid maybe 4 to 6 weeks. But I wanted to come to this area. I actually photographed, I believe, my most popular tree photo ever from a social media perspective. And I came to this area, photographed that tree, but there was so much stuff here, but I got so enamored with that one tree that I kind of disregarded a lot of the other stuff. So I came here this morning just to kind of scout out other things to possibly come back to in a couple months. So I found it. This is the tree that I was talking about. I'll put the original photo on the screen somewhere, but you know, this is the rock that was in the foreground, and of course it led up to the tree in the background, and it just looks completely different. You know, the first time I discovered it and I photographed it, it was, gosh, I want to say it was like midsummer, very, very lush, very, very green, and it was just, there was a lot of growth to the tree, and now it looks so barren. All of the growth around here, all of this is just, it's all brown. There's none of that nice moss anymore. And in the tree, I mean, I think it still looks pretty awesome, but pretty wild to revisit locations, especially in different seasons, just to see how much they change. Wild. Now, one of the things I absolutely love about this location is all of these rocky kind of stair steps leading up to these paths. Some of the most unique looking path that I've seen in this area, with all these nice trees overhanging. And this area usually seems to have a fairly dense layer of fog usually. But the sun is starting to rise, and I'm afraid it's going to start to burn off pretty quick. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a shot right here and see if this is worth spending a little bit of time on. Rather precarious position here on the side of this little hill here, but I try to put the... So the guy here who forgot to plug in his microphone all the way, what he's trying to say is that he's positioning the pathway from the bottom left-hand corner running across the image to the upper right-hand corner, and in order to try and create something that you would not see on a day-to-day basis where you're just kind of walking right down the pathway. He is not super excited about this composition, but he feels it's a great way to just kind of get the first image under your belt for the morning and go on from there. There are a couple sets of trees on the left and right side of this pathway that he really does enjoy, but he's having a difficult time trying to determine exactly where to cut the composition off, because the overall scene is your standard chaotic woodland area. I'm figuring out exactly where to cut the tree, or where to cut the scene off on the left and the right. So there is what I have right there, but as you can see, that's a really cool tree. That's a really cool grouping of trees right there. Hopefully you can see that. But there's also other trees right by those trees, and I'm having a hard time figuring out how to keep those sides clean. So I just kind of zoomed out a little bit in order to give myself a little bit of additional real estate when I go to edit the photo. It gives me a little bit of additional latitude to crop it however I want. Might have to remove a couple sticks or something sticking into the frame, but just zooming out a little bit, just giving myself that additional breathing room to kind of refine the composition in the editing suite, if you will. So I'm not super enamored with this composition, and I don't want to sit here and sit on the scene and just photograph it to death while this fog is. So he wants you to know that this is the last clip with absolutely terrible audio. But he's not super excited about this composition. He doesn't want to sit around and waste these good conditions, because whenever he photographs
in this location, or really in the Blue Ridge Mountains, he knows that fog, it moves in and out really quickly. So when you do get those conditions, you better act quick because there's no guaranteeing how long that's going to be there. And he's very cognizant of that. He's going to go ahead and move down the pathway, but what's so cool is that this guy has no idea right now the conditions that he is about to receive here on the third image of this video. Some of the best light I've ever seen in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Here in the Blue Ridge Mountains, the fog, it's so hit and miss, it's so in and out. So when you get it, you better move quick. So this is not composition. This isn't enough to keep me lingering here, so I'm going to move on. So photograph it like you've never seen it before. If you think about it, we all see the world in the exact same manner. All of our eyes are at the exact same position on our body, which is at the top of our head. So when we go throughout our daily basis, we see the world the exact same way at eye level. So photographing something like you've never seen it before basically means photographing in a way that is not that. So it could be something as simple as getting very low to something and photographing it up on an angle, or getting your tripod really high and photographing down on it, or photographing it from the left or photographing it from the right. Just like in the path earlier, we see that path, walking straight up that path. That's how you would normally see that path. But by getting to the far right of the path and photographing it on an angle creates something, a slightly different, unique viewpoint that we normally don't see. So whenever I'm trying to frame up a composition, I'm always thinking about that. You know, how can I photograph the scene in a way that is something that I've never seen before, something that's a little bit more unique? Because by creating something that's unique, it's going to grab the viewer's attention, even if it's just for a couple seconds, just to kind of get them to stop mid-scroll and see a photograph and be like, oh, that's something different. And that's something that I'm always thinking about. How can I photograph this tree in a way that I've never seen before? Scene that I tried to photograph last time I was here. I absolutely love the tree. I love the rocks. I love the shapes of the rocks. I love everything about the scene. But this tree right here was always messing it up. It's not a very photogenic tree. It's not a very unique tree, and it's just sticking in the composition. So I have been trying to figure out a way this time to really frame it up. I didn't spend a lot of time last time because I was so enamored with the other tree, but this time I've been trying to figure out exactly how to photograph this tree to get the most interesting parts of this tree, which for me are these trunks right through here, to get this in the frame, to get that rock in the frame, and eliminate as much as that tree as I possibly can. And I'll show you what I came up with. So there's the composition right there. I know it's kind of hard to see. Let me brighten it up a little bit. But as you can see, I got my tripod up very, very high and kind of angled up a little bit to where I'm kind of cutting out the sky up here, because the sky could be very, very blown out. But that tree, let me remove that. You can see the tree just a little bit, but I was able to remove it as much as I possibly could. So I'm not certain as to how well that's going to come out, but that was a good exercise for myself nonetheless, of trying to eliminate something in a scene and just moving all over it and trying different angles, trying to eliminate something that's distracting, because I think it's a pretty common thing in photography. It's pretty often to find something beautiful, but there's just one thing that is just throwing everything off. And I spent quite a while here and might have lost the best fog in the process of doing this. But I think I was able to eliminate that with a little bit of dodging and burning in certain areas. I think you'll barely even be able to see that tree trunk in this composition any longer. So that was a good exercise to go through. So compositionally, I think that this is okay. I do think I did a pretty good job in removing that one tree from I should say, reducing the visual impact of that tree on the left side. It's barely visible, especially after kind of burning that area of the photograph down a little bit, just darkening that to kind of draw the viewer's attention away from that area. So I think the visual impact is very, very small of that tree on the left side, which is good. And I do think I did a good job in just separating all three of the main branches of this tree. You know, it took a lot of moving all over the place. I didn't capture all of the dancing that I did all over this composition, just trying to keep those branches from intersecting one another, and at the same time reducing the visual impact of the other branch or the other tree on the left side. So it was definitely a difficult image to compose, but I do like the rock on the bottom right-hand corner kind of pointing up at the main tree. So overall, I think it's okay. I think in a photograph like this, like I captured the fog and that was really nice and the composition's okay, but it needs just a little something else. I think just a tiny bit of light would have been nice, just to kind of give the tree and the branches just a little bit of that three-dimensional quality, a little bit of structure. The light that you're about to see in the third photograph, if I got that light in this image, totally different story, because that light is absolutely fantastic.
So I've come back over here to Old Faithful, if you will. This is that tree that I mentioned earlier that I photographed the first time I was here. But sticking with the theme of photographing things like you've never seen them before, I photographed this tree on the complete opposite side last time. So I've come over here and I'm using these two rocks as foreground. I got some nice moss, plus I like the shape of the tree. It kind of goes along with the composition. And every once in a while that light kind of comes through. It's not creating light rays in the fog back there, but it is kind of just illuminating some of these branches a little bit on one side and kind of gives it that three-dimensional shape. So I think this could possibly be my favorite composition of the day. This is one of those trees that just, it's the gift that keeps on giving. All right, let me brighten this up here so you can see it better. All right, there you go. So now you can see, I think I like the kind of placement of these three rocks right here and that rock right here. It all kind of leads up to this area, and in the sweeping nature of it, right, or the sweeping nature of the tree. And every once in a while, the light comes through right through here and just illuminates all of these rocks. You really can't see them right now because I got it overexposed in camera, but that light coming through there really, really complements the scene.
It's so good. I love the light in this photograph. It's absolutely fantastic. And the light was constantly changing, moving in and moving out. But I'm not kidding. This is the only time that the light came in this soft. It was every time it would come in, it would seem like it was coming in hotter and brighter every single time. But this one time the light moved in and it was just super, super soft, and it just raked across the ground, and it was just absolutely perfect. This is the only version I got with this incredible light, and it totally transforms this photograph. Compositionally, I think it's okay. You know, there's a lot going on in this scene, so of course there's a lot of different ways that you can really pick it apart, but the light is just absolutely fantastic. I love the rocks in the foreground. I love that kind of broken branch that's kind of leaning down onto that one rock in the midground. There's a lot that I really do like about this photograph, but the light for me is just absolutely beautiful. It gives that three-dimensional structure to the tree and all the branches, and of course all the rocks leading in from the foreground all the way into the midground and into the background. Just absolutely beautiful light. And like I mentioned earlier, this is probably the best light that I've ever seen in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and of all the years that I've been photographing it in this one little pocket, that light was just absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, so you can see that light, oh, it's starting to fade again now, but it was just coming right through here, which is kind of like right through the arch of the composition, right through there, and illuminates all those kind of rocks leading all the way up there. I'm not sure if you can see it or not. Oh, I'm actually zoomed all the way in, but here it comes again. Yeah, I think that light is really going to make this overall scene. Actually, it kind of looks good in a horizontal orientation as well. I think I might switch. Let's see. I don't know. Zoom in here. I'm not sure if I like that or not. It adds, there's just too much of that sky up through there, and just too distracting to have the photograph like that, or the composition like that. That whole upper left-hand side of the image looks like a distraction. Yeah, I think it looks better in the vertical orientation. So I think I'm going to wait here a little bit longer, see if the fog kind of moves in and out anymore. It does seem like it's kind of lightening up a little bit, but I'll see if I can capture a few more photographs of this tree. But before I do wrap up this week's video, I just want to say a big thank you to the sponsor of this week's video, which is Squarespace, who I use for all of my website and e-commerce needs.
Squarespace provides a dynamic and attractive online platform to create your website. You can display your photography using Squarespace's professional portfolio designs and customize the layout and look and feel of your gallery just so you can make it your own. With Squarespace's traffic overview feature, you can track trends in page visits and views to better optimize your content, and you can even grow and engage with your customers with Squarespace's email campaign tools, which will enable you to create engaging emails that match your website with your products or blog post and logo just so your messaging remains consistent.
So if you're looking to start a new website or possibly upgrade your current website, check out squarespace.com/Mark Denney for a free trial and 10% off your first purchase. So really do hope you enjoyed this week's video. As always, if you did, if you could, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And as always, I really do appreciate you carving out a little bit of time to spend it with me here in the beautiful foggy morning in the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina. I absolutely love this part of the world. There's just something about it. Anywho, thank you so much again. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all next Wednesday.